These nice setups and team fights, taking Lysandra and the Galio as well. Jarvan now taking out the board, of course, a very powerful flex pick in Europe. We've mostly seen it in the jungle this week, but of course, historically has gone into the top lane, has proved to be a very strong contender in the era of Urgot and Sion falling from favor.
Jace ban as well. It's funny because we actually see Jace ban just a lot, but it's one of those champions where I feel like a lot of European teams don't actually want to play it, but you ban it anyway because you can't afford to give it away because of how strong it is.
Yeah, because the theoretical top end for Jace is you don't get to play League of Legends against this champion. Usually what happens is it's not amazing, you know, it's like pretty okay, it wins the lane and it doesn't really get anything greater, but we've seen those 1 or 2 games where it really absolutely destroys, and you kind of have to respect that. Now Bwipo, first pick Renekton, immediately locked in. This has been an EU special, an incredibly powerful pick with the Conqueror changes for a multitude of reasons, but I'm just honestly surprised with Red side to see them lock in a top lane pick this early.
The thing is, because of Jarvan and Jace being banned, I think Karthus just becomes the next, Renekton becomes the next strongest top laner. We have seen a couple of counters in the form of Olaf. Aatrox is a skill matchup that we even saw from Bwipo yesterday. And basically you want to play lane dominant champions into a Renekton if you want to stand a chance of being able to beat him, and then hopefully you can outscale him later on into the game. But if you ever get to lead, he becomes a massive terror, and then we see that Aatrox locked in as well. So maybe expect wanting to have that matchup against Bwipo, who ended up winning it yesterday against Soaz.
And of course, with Sejuani already locked in, we can feel reasonably confident that it is not going into the jungle. The Alistar now as well. Locked in on the side of Exile, and I like that Expect is willing to take this matchup. He was, of course, one of the first adopters of the Renekton. In the LEC, has had some incredible numbers on it, even in his game yesterday. So good to see him take the other end of the matchup, and now going to find out what Fnatic will round out the first half of their draft with.
Hylissang on Brawl. Not really a surprise, something he played a lot of in the first half of the split when Fnatic were in their slump. They really started to turn things around when he played more of the Rakan and the Galio. But given Fnatic have been performing very well recently, they're comfortable putting him back on a champion that perhaps less of a playmaker, but offers a lot in terms of utility for the team.
And of course, it was the nerf for Khan that Hylissang brought out in their last matchup, Exile versus Fnatic, to help win the game, to kick off a lot of those early game fights to help Fnatic win in the end. We'll see if he can have a similar impact with a less playmaking-focused champion as we enter the second ban phase. Reckless's Tristana taken away, the Cassio removed from the hands of Jeskla, or Special, and the Aurelia as well.
The champion I want to bring your attention to right now is the Kalista. It's something that I feel we haven't really seen Reckless play throughout the majority of his career. I'm sure there are a couple of examples of it, but it's not a champion that's really stood out to me in his hands. Whereas for Jeskla, I believe he did play earlier this split, and with the Alistar already locked in, I think it could be a very good pickup for Exile if they wanted to do it. And then Fnatic right now, I think that they want to try and save their mid lane pick for last so they can try and get a good matchup against Special.
And see what Exile are going to opt for. We'll, of course, have to blind pick at least one of these matchups. Still waiting to see 80 carries on either side. And as you mentioned, Vedius, we kind of expect to see Reckless lock his here. The Sivir, of course, is available if he wants to go into it, but has a notoriously bad matchup into the Alistar. So the Vayne now coming out.
Now that's war. You know, fans used to just, whenever it was Reckless's Vayne, that was like a European's dream. Back in the day, he was very well known for these high mechanically intensive champions because he was the mechanical god in Europe. Since then, we haven't really seen much of his Vayne other than when he's looking to have some fun. But perhaps they're the ones expecting the Kalista, and he believes that this can be a pretty good matchup to it, but there's the champion we were talking about.
And I feel like the second you lock in the Vayne, you're telling the enemy team you don't get to pick Kai'Sa here because it's such a strong matchup into that, and they kind of force them into the Kalista, and you do wonder if that's what Exile wanted already. We're going to see what Jeskla and Mystiques can do with this champion option.
I do feel like that you could go for a blind pick LeBlanc right now. I think with the Lysandra taken off the board, she's one of the better champions available in the current matchup. But Zoe, see, this is my issue with the Zoe is that there are more answers to this champion than I believe that there are for LeBlanc. But overall, she is very strong in the current meta. Very, very popular over in the LCK. The problem is I just think Fnatic have a lot of options to be able to deal with it. Orianna being one of them. I think Yasuo is another one. And it's a champion they could even afford to go for because they do have the Karthus in the jungle as well.
I want to see Nico. Whoa. Now going to go into the mid lane in the hands of Nemesis. We had heard all about the bot lane Nico. Everyone on Reddit was complaining about it. But now we're going to see it in the mid lane. And I do wonder what the build, what the options are going to be here. Of course, we initially expect full AP, as you do when you read the kit. But AD Nico has seen a lot of success. Team would have magic damage with Karthus in the jungle as well. But we now see the timers counting down. We will, of course, luckily for us, the Exile composition, we kind of got that figured out. We got the Aatrox on the top side, Dzhelal. Rest of the comp rounding out, coming together. But Nico, an interesting addition for this Fnatic composition.
Now, at the beginning of the day, we did talk about on-hit Nico and how it can work in pro play. Just having a look through some of Nemesis's match history, and he has been playing some Nico mid with the on-hit build.
Ooh.
It does do a lot of magic damage, and when you have a Vayne, Renekton, and a Karthus as well, it's not like that they were lacking, so they will bring some mixed damage should he go for that in the mid lane, but typically a very lane-dominant champion. We'll talk a little bit about it once we actually get into the game, but overall from a composition standpoint, things are looking pretty exciting for Fnatic because they have a lot of, they have strong mid lane, if this is the 80 on-hit Nico. They have a Renekton up towards the top side of the map as well, which means that the Karthus should be relatively safe, and he does have a couple of lanes that he can look to play around if he wants to as well. Bot lane is a little bit more of a farm fest, with the Vayne having to play a little bit more defensively. But they have a lot of early game options on the side of Fnatic, so I'm expecting to see a bit of aggression from these laners from Fnatic.
And honestly, Vedius, I just want to see what form of Excel is going to show up today. If we're going to get this close matchup, or if Fnatic are going to continue their rise up the standings. Fnatic fans here to support their team. Excel versus Fnatic. Excel, of course, on the blue side. Fnatic on the red. And Vedius, you talk about these compositions. I love it. Aatrox into the Renekton. Jungle, not as concerned. Mid lane, also hype. Bot lane, we've got Vayne, Reckless's Vayne, nonetheless, against this Kalista. And I just want to see how these matches fold out, because I just, outside of the Karthus, I expect a ton of action here. And Vedius, you talked about on-hit Nico. Well, Dorn's Blade might give us some early indications.
So, if our observers could just hover over the mid lane matchup, I'm really looking forward to talking about it, because the thing about Nico is, what you'll notice is that she will mainly put points into her W and her E. All of the damage from on-hit Nico comes from maxing that W, which Dracos, you can help me with the name on that one, I'm sure.
Yes, I absolutely can, but it's Shape Splitter.
Shape Splitter, there you go. So it will also, it does have other functionality. It has everything outside of the passive, but that doesn't really matter. All you really care about is the passive. And basically, the fun stat that I like to throw out is that once she hits level 9, and once it is max rank, you get 170 bonus flat magic damage off the back of that, just from getting points in the levels, right? And when you complete the Rage Blade, and you have a fully stacked Rage Blade, you hit that every second auto. So just off a single item, she does a lot of early game damage.
Oh, now we're going to see the level 1 play coming out. Braum, of course, incredibly strong in that level 1. The stun already coming in from the concussive blows. Now Mystiques is in trouble. The flash forward. First blood for Reckless's Vayne. They're going to look for another one as well. The blast cone sends them over the wall, but they just get packed along with them. Caedrel going to need to get through the gate. Are they going to commit the flash for it? Reckless goes for one more auto, but has, of course, already burned his and will not be able to follow it further. But Broxah gets the red buff and a beautiful start for Fnatic.
So I wasn't expecting the level 1 invade. I was all about talking about this really cool new Nico build, and then Fnatic end up finding First Blood going in the hands of Reckless on the Vayne as well. They get the flash out from Caedrel, they get the flash out from Mystiques. Now Fnatic already off to a commanding start. We said they'd have a strong early game from their two solo laners. This is a great way to have a strong early game onto your AD carry as well.
And to get the Karthus rolling, 2 camps up while the Dzhelal has not even started that jungle clear. They're going to need to send support.
At this rate. You can see that Broxah has actually moved up towards the top side.
If he actually goes in to contest this blue buff, this is going to be the ultimate disrespect start. It looks like Caedrel will get this one. But note, this is a charitable blue buff. Brox chooses not to take the risk. Could absolutely go in there and maul Caedrel.
He also has no priority top. You can already see the Aatrox starting to move down. Therefore, the respect is being shown by Broxah. Even though he has a level up, he knows that he will not be able to win that 1 versus 2. So just going to back away from that one. Just be happy with what he's got. So Caedrel will secure his first buff of the game.
And falling behind in this game right off the bat feels so bad for Excel, because Kalista is normally a champion we look at early to mid game to really dominate, losing out. And you're going up against 2 champions, Vedius, who are basically the same, although we'll hold that thought. So you do get a little action on the top side. Bwipo just extending the trade, using the animation cancel there on the back end of that Conqueror to make his way out.
So I'm going to drag us back to the mid lane, because the early game action has been great, but you can already see Nemesis off to a phenomenal start, building up a 12 CS lead against Special. And this is a really obnoxious thing about Nemesis. I'm going to have a very quick look and see. He currently has no points in his Q, as I would expect. He's only got points in his W and his E. And what's really obnoxious is if he ever lands the E on you, which is that little root thing that goes through minions. If it passes through more minions, then it can be an empowered root and it can last for a really long time. Then he basically gets a huge amount of damage off onto you. And ooh, we actually have a flash in from Mystique, but
immediate use of the Shape Splitter, though, for the stealth, just to make sure the point and click of the Headbutt Pulverize cannot connect.
But basically, Nemesis just clears minions really, really fast, just from his auto attack. So it forces a mage like Zoe to get pushed under the tower a lot early on, and that's where this huge CS discrepancy is starting to develop.
We're taking a lot of damage here, though, just to walk under tower. Now they're going to fish for the dive, though, as Brox is here, but we're going to heal up as much as he can with the Cold Meek. Oh! Goes down in the end! Caster minions, and the cannon, the ultimate homies, and Brox has to be careful. He's out of mana. Expect. Doesn't have the cooldowns to chase here. Is respecting the red buff. Rarely do we see a Karthus auto attack be the decider, but that absolutely was it.
So, a couple of important things to notice here is that Bwipo actually doesn't lose too much on this because the entire minion wave ends up falling to the tower. So while Expect will get that kill, Bwipo is going to deny a lot of XP from Expect and just a lot of base gold. As the crowd being very animated today, it seems, Aatrox. Aatrox? Dracos. That's the name.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, I'll take it. Aatrox is a cool champion. We got it. So, Vedius, the thing that I want to touch on when we look at these two teams that I think just makes this comp feel so nightmarish to play against is we have basically Vayne in the bot lane and essentially AP Vayne in the mid lane. Like, they're both going to build this Rage Blade. They're both going to proc it every 2 hits, and they're just going to obliterate you. Nemesis is going to do magic damage. Reckless is going to do true damage. And it feels like Kalista, who we would normally say, ooh, sustained team fights, great for Kalista, lots of auto attacks, is looking down the worst situation possible, but now they're trying to change that. Bot lane coming through. Reckless now on the back end of a bad trade. Looks like he will get taken down here. The heal does come out. Jeskla could just get stunned up here. The auto's coming in. Reckless is still alive. I cannot believe it. He is going to go down the edge. Jeskla on the edge of death. Hillisang gonna get that one. And that is the second kill, courtesy of minions, to go down this game.
So I love the fact that Fnatic committed to that 2 versus 2. The fact that Reckless had no flash meant that if he tried to run away, he wouldn't have been able to get anything off the back of it. So at the very least, he's able to trade 1 for 1, meaning that it doesn't end in disaster. But you've got to respect the early laning phase of a Kalista and an Alistar. That's what Jeskla and Mystiques tried to leverage. They find themselves at least 1 kill. The Kalista gets it for herself. That means that the disparity between the 2 AD carries should now be equalized.
And of course, using that brief window of opportunity where Reckless still did not have the flash up and available from the level 1 to find that punish. So well played by the side of Exile. Good to see their bot laner at least keeping things even on the bottom side of the map. We're going to see where Caedrel will put his attention in the minutes to come. For now, he is still getting out-cleared by a Karthus, kind of as expected, such is the nature of the champion. But hoping to find more impact from the Sejuani, especially as we get closer and closer to level 6.
So I want to bring our attention to the minimap right now and just the differences in supports. Mystiques, he immediately goes towards the bot lane. He wants to be assisting his AD carry, whereas Hillisang does what he always does once he's level 4, roam immediately through mid. There's nothing that he can really do or offer to his AD carry at this point in time, so instead he just roams through the river. Maybe he can find some wards, maybe he can drop a ward for himself, whatever, but he realizes that there's more that he can do on the map outside of just running bots.
Bwipo in trouble though, World Ender now coming out. Bwipo can look for an empowered heal or a stun, does use the Cold Meek and gets level 6 just in time. Caedrel has to respect this. Bwipo can look to double dash through the creeps. Has the Conqueror stacked, will now fall off. Is just going to back off here, but expect burning a lot in that exchange. The level 6 coming in clutch to keep Bwipo alive.
Good stuff there from Expect, though. You can see that after getting that early kill, he's not slowing down with the aggression. And the really important thing about the Aatrox versus Renekton matchup is that you don't want to be hit by the full combo from Expect. If you do, you're going to lose that trade. And normally Renekton has the mobility to be able to slice and dice away from it. But if he ever uses it, that's the opportunity the Expect will use to try and come out ahead in those 1 versus 1s. But even after the death we talked a little bit about in terms of farm, Bwipo and Expect actually at very even points. So Bwipo not quite at the disadvantage that Soaz was yesterday in this matchup, even though he's a kill down.
Yeah, the dominance coming in. Not quite the same, but good to see Bwipo holding his own to a certain degree, but Expect still able to find an advantage here, and we'll see if he can continue to snowball. Bwipo, of course, a very strong point for Fnatic yesterday, no doubt the strongest point in the early game. How Fnatic play without this, constant source of pressure, and will be interesting to see.
So now we're at a point where level 6s are starting to come through across the board. Reckless has now hit it. Brock's coming very close. He will now secure it. And we actually see a lot of vision invested towards the bot side of the map for Fnatic. They want to allow Reckless and Hillisang to play more forward in the lane. They know they have priority mid, and so they set up all this vision to allow for this roam to happen. Leverage the level advantage that you have, and double Reckless appearing in the bot lane. Any European bot lane's worst nightmare.
Now it's a Bwipo too. Of course, changing shapes left and right here. For Nemesis, debating on which one is the most threatening. Will return back to the mid lane.
It's back to Reckless.
Backstep there. And not afraid to trade here. And this is a difficult lane for Special, and you mentioned earlier. You can't stand behind the creeps. If you stand in front of the creeps, you get auto-attacked. It's hard. It's hard being a Zoe here.
It's also just mages in the early game against anything that can just auto-attack through the minions. There's very little that you can do about it, so you just gotta kind of suck it up. Meanwhile, Bwipo and Expect continuing to trade up towards the top side. Ooh,
now comes in the stun right into the turret. Jeskla taken down. Mystiques gonna be in trouble here. Level 5. No ultimate there to save the day. Hylissang goes down in the end to make it a 2-for-1, but Fnatic destroying the bottom side of the map.
Hylissang doing what he often does, sacrificing his life for the betterment of his team. That allows Rekkles and Broxah to pick up their kills, and Fnatic continue to snowball this early game. 2.5k is the advantage now, but Caedrel looking for something up top.
Oh, expecting to be forced to use the ulti here. Karthus will proc it. Bwipo now needs to make a decision. Caedrel's coming in on the backside. He's going to need to dodge the ulti, but no chance. Perfect use of the animation cancel from Caedrel to land the point-blank ulti to keep his top laner alive.
A bit of trading happened in the mid lane. Broxah coming to help out his mid laner Nemesis. Mystique now the one making the roam towards the mid part of the map. Will not be able to find anything off the back of that, but kills being traded across the board. And the fact that Bwipo goes down is still an advantage for Expect. He's now sitting at 2-0-0, which is very good for him. But the problem for Exile is that this Vayne is just going to continue to get stronger and stronger now at a 25 CS advantage in favor of Rekkles.
Yeah, and if we look at the top of the screen and you just put both your hands over these gold numbers, you see 4-4 and you're pretty excited. You take your hands away and you look at the gold and you go, oh, I see kills are even, but that is a 2k gold lead in the early game for Fnatic. You can see Nemesis just solo in his lane, not going anywhere else, has already built up a 300 gold lead for himself. Brock's obviously monstering in the jungle, and Rekkles, as you already mentioned, 1k advantage for himself. Some of that does get balanced out as Jeskla will be able to grab what appears 2 plates here on the bottom side, but definitely not enough to recoup what is a massive early game deficit. Only 10 minutes in, seeing something this big. Pretty much, you know, exclusively from farm and tower plating is an impressive sight.
And a lot of it comes off the back of that level 1 play from Fnatic. Something we heard about this team very early on in the split was that their early game and their level 1s were not as good as they used to be. Now that they've refined that strategy, they seem a lot more confident, and they're able to find these early game leads, which is where a lot of their wins have been coming from over the last few weeks. And they set up Rekkles for success. He's doing a fantastic job. And now that Xpecial has a couple more levels under his belt, you can see this match is getting a little bit harder as Nemesis gets poked out of lane.
Absolutely. Good, though, that they might be able to get a little more pressure down on the Nico. You can see the Blade of the Rune King going to be the first item coming in from Nemesis. Of course, really no AD scaling in the kit, but not concerned, as the W scales so well with attack speed, as you've already mentioned. Broxah now going to make his way to the bottom side. Top lane continues to be a point of action. We got to keep our eyes on Jeskla. Mystique's looking for the stun. Hylissang perfectly tanking here off to the side. They've taken down the AD carry once again. No chance for rest from Jeskla in this game.
Surprised that they can pull off so many dives so successfully. No support is coming out from the side of Exile. Caedrel is just trying to play towards the top side of the map because he has no pressure in the mid lane. It enables Fnatic to constantly get vision towards the bot side, and that means that Jesper and Mystique, they're just pretty much left to their own devices, and when that happens, Fnatic constantly capitalize.
Then it's doubly good for Fnatic in this game, although Mystiques now looks like he might get just taken down here. Yeah, Brock's gonna go for the killing spree there, taking down the cow. Just absolute domination on the bottom side of the map continues to be the story. And when you look at Excel's game yesterday, you know, Jeskla was a huge strong point versus Schalke on that Cassio. Him and Mystiques looked incredible. You looked at that guy on Thresh, you were stunned this was his first game on a big stage. But today it's a very different story where Fnatic are willing to commit the resources to just shut these guys down.
Well, we got to go back to the draft in order to talk more about that, Dracos, because remember the Thresh was the first ban that came out from Fnatic, showing that respect to Mystique. And then what have they done? They've split the mat up. They utilized the pressure they had mid to separate Mystique and Jesper from their jungler, and then they've just attacked it with the early lead that they got from that level 1 play. So Fnatic came in with a very clear early game plan, and they've been able to execute upon it very clean.
And now we're going to see the Herald Summit on the bottom side. Excel, knowing that there is nothing more for them on the bottom side of the map, just want to get out of this landing phase, want to use the Herald to break down this tower plating before it expires. We'll get a hefty chunk of gold put back to their pockets, but Fnatic have already read the play and are going to continue forward as Special. This is absolutely chunked out in the mid lane.
Nemesis forced to retreat as Expect shows up, and he was the player I wanted to talk about next, but it seems like we won't have time as Exile are continuing this push in the bot lane.
Bwipo doing what he can to hold on to this tower. If they commit for the dive, though, Hylissang is here, has his ultimate up and available in just a few seconds. Bwipo taking down the Herald. The second tower will not fall in favor of Exile as Rekkles is getting solo gold. 2 tower plates already going over to him. 320 in his back pocket. Oh, a third one too. Vedius, this Vayne is getting so fed so quickly. Exile going to commit to the play. Hylissang now throwing down the ultimate, trying desperately to disengage. Bwipo has so much health here. Conqueror has now been activated. The healing fully online. Expect here desperate to get something back. There's the card that's ultimate, and there is no hope left. Just deleting members, making it a 1-for-1 as Bwipo finally falls.
Considering Exile's committed 4 members to get that dive, the fact that Fnatic found a 1-for-1, might even be 2-for-1 as Nemesis flashes in and finds another kill. Definitely not worth it for Exile. Fnatic will even extend that by securing a tower in the top lane. More gold goes into the pockets of Rekkles. Jeskla falls further and further behind, and it feels like that Fnatic have a firm grasp over this early game.
They absolutely do, and the card is only continuing to get stronger. Special going to try to get something back here. Does he have enough damage? Oof. Burning slowly. Corrupting Posh ticking. Broxa, no camp there for him to smite, but he will make it out in the end. So close to death in that exchange.
Broxa flashing away almost made it worse for himself because he increased the distance from him and the paddle staff from Special. Fortunately, it wasn't quite enough damage. With only the Ludens completed, Special couldn't quite find that kill. We'll at least get the flash out from Broxa, but I don't think it's going to hurt Fnatic too much. They have control pretty much over the entirety of the map.
Ooh, Special. Using a stolen flash there. Try to get some damage down onto Bwipo, but Bwipo very comfortable. Just keep pushing forward in this lane. A lot of healing for Renekton. And Vedius, when we used to talk about Karthus right at the start of the season, when no one was really sure what was going on and why this champion was in the jungle, we talked about level 11 and that terrifying point where Karthus has double magic pen items and level 2 of ultimate. Now, Broxa is level 9. But he does have a 10-stack Dark Seal and both magic penetration items. Ooh. So for me, if I'm Excel, I'm just going to assume I'm at 50% health for the rest of the game.
That's quite a safe assumption. Ooh, okay, thought he would actually try for a kill there, but just a bit of a trade back and forth. But you are correct. I love that point. Dracos Broxa has been picking up a lot of the kills that happen down towards the bot side of the map. He's the one leading with the gold bounty right now. And this is actually a really interesting way of seeing Karthus played, because typically you just want to power farm, you just want to get to those core item spikes and just get as much gold as possible. But that's not to say that you can't gank. You just need strong laners to gank, right? You need that damage so that you can help follow up, provide that wall of pain, and just kind of chip away alongside with them. You typically don't expect to go to the Vayne lane, though. Very a Fnatic classic, I would say. I was expecting much more around the Renekton lane or maybe the Nico lane, but hey, you know what? If your Vayne gets first blood and there are no summoners bot, why not? Why not? Just commit.
And so far working well. Of course, Rekkles on his way to the Rage Blade. A similar story for Nemesis, the Nico in the mid lane. And the bounties just keep stacking up on the 3 strongest members of Fnatic. Bwipo, of course, not left on an island, but definitely put a little down and out in this matchup. Still has done well for himself. Exile going to try to fire back with some towers of their own, but most likely are poised to give up this bot tier 2 as the teleport has now been committed from Bwipo. Are they just going to take the fight here? Of course, Caedrel with the ultimate available can threaten. Rekkles taking a lot of damage there, but once again, the Karthus ulti being available does make it a lot harder to commit to these big plays.
So Rekkles has the red buff, and he has spell lifesteal rather. So I think he intentionally took the damage to keep the minions alive there, so that Fnatic could continue the siege. I actually like the decision making there from Rekkles, as Fnatic look to continue the push, while Jeskla, at the very least, gets 1 return tower on the top side of the map.
But we went from talking about a game to how do Exile trade objectives to how do Exile get literally anything. Because moments ago it was a 2K gold lead. That was very large for 10 minutes. Well, we're looking at 17 Vedius, and we're about a 7K gold lead. This is nightmare fuel. And at this stage, with Spear of Shojin steadily getting closer and closer for the Renekton, that's going to make the matchup against Aatrox so much easier. Even one of the stronger points on the map, like Expect, has to start worrying about how all this gold is going to make his life difficult. Nemesis, clever use of the Shape Splitter there. Does sidestep the ulti as well. Insult to injury.
Frustration on the face of Caedrel as he misses that one. Nemesis, very speedy as well. That's the one thing that can be overlooked, is that when you proc that extra auto damage on the Nico, you actually get a second of bonus movement speed as well. So you have a surprising amount of mobility off the back of this champion. And she can be very obnoxious, especially in the early game. She does fall off later, that's the bright side. So you do have to play very early focus, but of course, Fnatic still have the Vayne as late game insurance alongside the Karthus should things go awry.
Very true, and I think one of the most irritating things it seems like against playing this matchup for Zoe is if you ever throw Sleepy Trouble Bubble, she just pushes W and says, here, my clone will block this. I will throw this in front of the one way you have to guaranteedly actually land a skill shot.
And now, seeing as we have a tiny bit of downtime, for those that might not be familiar with what like an on-hit build means, and like actual on-hit, with Blade of the Ruin King, every single hit that you do deals 8% of the target's current health as bonus physical damage. You then have Nico's W that does bonus magic damage every third hit, which can be changed to every second hit once you have a fully stacked Rage Blade. And you have Press the Attack, which means that once you've got all 3 stacks on top of them, you do, I believe, 6% more damage as well. So you can see how all these things combined together with a lot of attack speeds can be very obnoxious and do a lot of damage once you've got these core item builds complete.
And the obnoxious thing especially is that the base damage for Nico is so high, and the percentage damage for Blade of the Ruin King is so high. So there's not, that doesn't really feel like there's a good way to itemize Vedius. It feels like, oh, this champion is fed, I will die. I will never, I cannot build a single item in the game. I will build Gargoyle, Stoneplate, Callista, and survive.
You can go the ninja helmet thing.
Adaptive helmet.
Adaptive helmet. That does help.
Helmet thing. I like it.
That does help a lot against Nico.
Reckless. Looking for the big plays. Brock's desperate to steal the glory away, and he is going to do so. Alistair will quickly sneak into the corpse of Callista before running for his life.
The last dying wish of Jesper.
No. Nico. Special now trying to buy time, but Brox is here as well. Now that Hylissang with the shot over the wall, Special goes back. And they're just going to delete that Zoe.
Nemesis almost finding a solo kill onto Special. If it weren't for the jungler, he might have gotten away with it. But fortunately, the rest of the Fnatic show up as well to assist. And this is really just clinical from Fnatic. They're slowly pushing their lead in. They could start a Baron now if they wanted to, but the big risk of that is that's the one big window back into the game for Exile. They still have a very strong Aatrox. Expect still level 12, has the Black Cleaver completed, and is looking very comfortable right now.
Absolutely is. Spear of Shojin, though, completed on the opposite side. And Vedius, we look at the standings, we have to remember kind of the stakes here. We talked about it. Nobody locks from this game, but Exile right now, we're expecting them to play Spoiler. Wondering if they could play Spoiler to Fnatic as well. But Fnatic showing this kind of dominance and potentially moving themselves up the standings, taking on the higher spot in the playoffs is going to be very, very important. Of course, you know, 4, 5, 6, not the biggest deal. But if they can somehow move into that third place spot in the games to come, that's a very big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations as well where if you're a team in playoffs, I think the team that you want to avoid is probably Fnatic.
Oh, absolutely.
Given that they are the best performing team so far in the second half of the split.
XL fans.
Oh. I was trying to figure out what they were saying. I heard let's go.
I heard XL. I'm sorry, guys. It's really hard to hear you through XL. Yes, I'm getting thumbs up. Yes, visual cues. Thank you, audience. They're not out yet, dear audience.
No, Expect is the guy we're looking at. He's coming in from the flank.
Hold him back. There's a lot of damage. Of course, the there's 2 Banes. I joked about it earlier, but now there's actually 2 Banes.
You steal the auto attack animation.
Yeah.
And the base movement speeds. Yeah.
Is that an improvement? I don't know enough.
It doesn't make a difference. You just steal their attack. You don't become the champion, right? You don't get
no. I don't mean stats. I forgot that because attacking a champion breaks it, right? Auto attacking a champion.
I think so. Yeah.
I was gonna say, could you, if like you could choose like an Ari's auto attack animation? Hold that thought. We're gonna get the fight kicked off. Caedrel doing his best to disrupt, but he immediately gets deleted. Bwipo buying as much time as he can, but so far it's the 1-for-1. Mystiques looking for the flank on the backside, but Reckless just tearing through that health bar. True damage. He doesn't care about that damage reduction. Expect next on the list. That's a triple for Reckless. Where's the Penta gonna go? Brox says, I'm gonna try to take this one away from you. Is not going to push any further. Not looking for the glory play, but Special firing back.
There you are. Reckless Vein mechanics. Many people are probably going to be happy to see that back. Triple kill goes in the hands of Reckless, and Fnatic now make their way towards the Baron XL. They wanted to try and find a fight, but unfortunately it did not quite go their way.
And the fight has to go perfectly because it is 23 minutes into the game. Fnatic moving their gold lead up higher. They're waiting for their teammate to respond to make sure he gets the Baron. That is how uncontested they are in this pit, and it is 11k gold lead for Fnatic.
So let's see how this fight starts off. Mystiques is on the flank looking for a potential dive onto the backline. Caedrel gets there, Mystiques is too late, while Bwipo zones 3 members away. But even though Bwipo dies, it doesn't matter, the damage is already done. Reckless is too strong, Nemesis on the backline is strong as well. And here what I see is Brox is setting his teammate up for the pentakill, but Reckless, he didn't want to commit to the dive, and so he does not go for it.
And the thing about it, Vedius, is you're in this awkward spot where if you set him up for the pentakill, you're his best friend ever. But if Rekkles went in there and autoed twice, I think Broxah would have gotten the kill. And they would have hated each other, and the season would just end at that point. You can't recover from that. You just heard Odo earlier today. That's not something you come back from.
It's true. Having a pentakill stolen from you is the ultimate betrayal.
Hylissang, I've seen this one before, he says. Can't steal the death push from us.
Hylissang is a whole level above both of those members right now.
Here comes Vayne number 2. Huge movement seed on the shapeshifter. Bwipo's on the backside as well. That is going to be one dead Kalista. Caedrel just next on the menu. His health bar is irrelevant to this Fnatic lineup. They're going to break through the tier 2. They're going to look to break through the base. Expect doing what he can to get something back, but there is not going to be anything that can stop this Fnatic lineup.
Crikey, that was one big croc that came in from behind, and unfortunately for Exile, they didn't have the training to handle it. Fnatic find the collapse. They're going to find an inhibitor. They may even find the game, Daniel Dracos.
That's a sleepy Braum, ready to block some skill shots. Slowly but surely, Fnatic are breaking through the base. Exile looking to find the upset, now looking to just be a speed bump on Fnatic's path to playoffs. Nemesis firing back, Karthus ulti now coming in, but did not, did target expect. The animation looking a little weird there. That's going to be the win for Fnatic as they move closer to their playoff goals.
Great level 1 from Fnatic, really set the stage. The moment that Rekkles got that first blood, both solo laners were abandoned and Broxah just said, all right, I guess we'll camp this lane.
Kind of like pick a card, you know, where do you want to go? Once you get a first blood on the Vayne, it suddenly becomes an option. More ways to play, of course. Papa Youngbuck there in the back, often praised for his level 1s on the team. Now seeing some of those come to light. And you gotta feel, you do not expect to get invaded by the Karthus at level 1. You expect him to be the safe jungler.
Frustration on the face of Expect. Even though Exile cannot qualify for play. Oh, now he's smiling. I'm getting very mixed reactions right now from Expect.
It's an emotional roller coaster. I think we've all, you know, he looks at that game and he goes, I played my lane, I was set up for success, and he found that success to a certain
Maybe he wishes he could have done more. That is a common mentality that many of our pro players have. But overall, I do think Expect has had a very solid split, but it was always going to be an uphill struggle. Fnatic have only lost one game in the second half of the split. They have looked the most dominant team so far. Fnatic right now confused. Too many fans require hand high fives.
There's a debate. Can they walk in front of our camera? Can they not walk in front of our camera? Security man says no. Bwipo said yes and snuck past. He's a rule breaker, that Bwipo. Of course, let's take a chance, Phidias. We can look back at some of those highlight moments from this one, because it was, at the end of the day, very much a highlight reel for Fnatic.
Yes, and so this is where the level 1 started. Hylissang set the play up. Braum very strong at these early levels. Feel like Mystiques probably should have flashed a little earlier. And now we get to see more of this action happening towards the bot side. The key thing to note is Rekkles level 6, Broxah level 6, and just look at the vision on the minimap towards the bot side of the map. You can see it's entirely in control of Fnatic. They split the map, meaning that the jungler from Exile was there. Rather than backing away, they think they can make this outplay, and they cannot pull it off.
This next play is really cool, but I do want to point out that Hylissang did use the animation cancel E ulti W on Braum. Something rarely used because it is highly impractical in a lot of cases, but there it was so sick. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't usually say wow Braum mechanics, but wow Braum mechanics. That's one of my favorite tricks. Never use it because it wastes your most important ability, the unbreakable. But in that one tower dive, it was so clutch.
Cool. Fun facts about support. I had no idea that you could even anti-cancel on Braum.
Would showed it to us last year. He actually pantomimed it on Euphoria, but we obviously didn't understand what this meant, so he had to make a Twitch video. It might still be on his Twitch account if you guys want to watch
All right, fun fact. Today I learned. There you go. Hope you all learned a lot today. We got to see the mid lane Nico. Okay, we got to see the on-hit Nico. I was not expecting it to be in the mid lane. A lot of players have told me that you can flex it mainly between top and bot, but today Nemesis showcased that it can also go mid. Very lane dominant, very revolving around these two core items. And while Nico wasn't the star of the show, hopefully we'll get to see more of it over the next few weeks.
I really liked it. It seemed like a good matchup into Zoe. I want to see what else it can do, what its limits are.
And it gets stronger next patch as well.
Oh, with the 3-second root? Max rank goes to the creeps, 3-second root. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Nightmare Morgana. Creeps will not save you.
Yeah, they actually don't. It's, oh, God, terrifying. Got to shout out Broxah as well. 8-0-5 on the Karthus. And Rekkles went 5-1-8. So when you're kind of looking at player of the game...
And that's a good point.
Infinity KDA versus a 13 KDA.
And that's something you guys got to decide, because we do have Reckless, Nemesis, Brock, so they're all fighting to become key player of the game, and they need your vote. So be sure to head over to @Esports on Twitter. Quick reminder, the scoreline, 7-0-5 for Broxa, 1-0-6 for that Nico. From Nemesis...
Well, he was 8-0-5. 8-0-5.
8-0-5.
And then
this is a replay. That's my bad.
Yeah.
There we go. That makes a lot more sense. But the one death from our boy Reckless,
One
does
death.
that take it away? That's the question you need to ask
You guys
yourself.
have to decide, because we can't do it for you. That's not our jobs.
No, we can't. But to get more insight on Fnatic's win, here is Frankie with their top laner.
Hello, Bwipo. You are very happy right now, and I don't blame you, to be honest. How does it feel to win yet again?
I mean, honestly, I don't feel like I participated in the victory here, so it feels good to win, but I feel like I was more of a sore thumb this game than anything.
What? But you've been having a great few games. I mean, your form is steadily improving week on week, Bwipo.
Yeah, and then it kind of...
Oh, well, I like a little bit of honesty, but I'm sure you're going to watch that match back and you're not going to feel too bad about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I tried to kill him too many times. I feel like the last few weeks I've been getting kills a lot, and I just let it happen, but this time I felt like forcing it a bit too much, so, you know, a few too many times where I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have tried that.
Did you get a bit brave after taking Soas down so many times yesterday? Because that was a little bit cheeky, wasn't it, Bwipo?
I mean, I feel like it's just... Honestly, after reviewing the game, I don't even think that I played that well. In the sense of the earlier stages of the lane, I feel like I kind of misplayed. So honestly, I think if I didn't get that kill, I wouldn't have got away with such a good game. So, you know, maybe that made me a little more subconscious about this game today, especially considering he picked the same matchup I picked when I think it's actually a bad matchup for Aatrox. So it's like, I felt like it was cocky and I wanted to punish him for it, and it bit me in the ass.
Well, a win's a win, as a lot of players I interview say. Now, I do want to ask about that Nico pick, because we've seen Nico frequently on the ban bench, and it's normally been focused at people trying to pick her for the bottom lane, right? But this time we saw her in mid, so what was the thinking there?
Honestly, we just think it's a really solid champion right now. We think it can do a lot of stuff, and it's a bit similar to Corki in the sense where if you have Braum, you have a basic attacking mid laner, you can get pretty good team fights off with that. And it has a lot of undiscovered potential going on there. So we just felt like this was one of the matchups where it could shine. Partially thanks to the fact that, you know, you can scale relatively freely and can dodge all the skill shots Zoe has with her shapeshift. So yeah, it's just something we just tried out in scrims and decided it's okay.
So do you think Nemesis might pick her in the future?
I'm sure. I mean, he played it today, right? So it makes sense that he has it in champion pool, he has it ready, but I think that's one of the strengths of our team. I think that at any point, anyone's willing to play a game that they have only played like a champion, even if they've only played 1 or 2 games. They just go on stage because they feel like it's the best pick in that situation, and they'll just do it.
Well, Fnatic's impressive comeback has continued. You're now at 9-7, I believe, and you've got 2 more matches left, of course, in week 9. You're going to be facing G2 and Splice.
Yeah.
So how are you going to be taking those teams on?
I feel like G2, we're definitely going to have to try and match the early game. I think last time we completely disrespected them by drafting a full late game comp with all losing lanes and a losing jungle matchup. So that's obviously not going to happen again. That was not pretty. That said, Splice, I feel like I don't even think that they're a slow team necessarily. I just feel like they don't see the opportunities that other teams do. So in that sense, I feel like we can get away with playing a weaker early game and then still match them in the mid to late game, because I feel like they've always been like that, in the sense that I don't think they're exceptional late game team. They're just considered to be a good late game team.